तो दोस्तों, आदर, आदाब, अभिनंदन और आभार। मैं सल कमल कुमार अंडमान निकोबार से आपका स्वागत करता हूं। तो आज मैं यह बुक अंडमान आइलैंड अंडर जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन 1942 टू 1945 के 5वें चैप्टर के बारे में बताने जा रहा हूं। यह बुक अमेजन किंडल स्टोर में ई बुक के रूप में अवेलेबल है और उसे आप वहां से खरीद सकते हैं, जो आपको डिजिटल रूप में प्राप्त होगा। जापानीज यहाँ पर 23 मार्च 1942 से लेकर 12 अक्टूबर 1945 तक रहे। एक ही रिकॉर्ड जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन का अवेलेबल है, वह मेरे नाना रामाकृष्ण द्वारा लिखा गया ये बुक द अंडमान आइलैंड अंडर जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन 1942 टू 1945। सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने यहाँ पर 30 दिसंबर 1943 को तिरंगा जिमखाना मैदान में चढ़ाया था। जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि गत 10 से 15 वर्षों में अंडमान एंड निकोबार आइलैंड एक मेन टूरिस्ट स्पॉट के रूप में उभरा है और स्वराज द्वीप का बीच वर्ल्ड के टॉप मोस्ट बीचेस में जाना जाता है। इसलिए यहाँ पर आने वाले टूरिस्ट की जिज्ञासा यहाँ के हिस्ट्री के बारे में जानने की अक्सर रहती है। अगर इतिहास में देखा जाए तो अंडमान का उल्लेख रामायण में मिलता है, जब हनुमान जी सीता माता को बचाने के लिए श्रीलंका गए थे। उस समय इन द्वीपों का उपयोग सोपान की तरह किया था। मलय लोगों ने इसे हंडुमान कहा और अंडमान इसी शब्द का रूप है। दक्षिण पूर्व एशिया की जलयान यात्रा हेतु तमिलनाडु के चोला व्यापारी इन्हीं द्वीपों में पनाह लेते थे। 1779 में यहाँ अंग्रेज पहुंचे थे। जापानीज यहाँ पर 23 मार्च 1942 से लेकर 12 अक्टूबर 1945 तक रहे। यह बुक द अंडमान आइलैंड्स अंडर जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन 1942 टू 1945 अमेजन किंडल स्टोर में उपलब्ध है और आप यह बुक वहां से खरीद सकते हैं। अगर यह वीडियो आपको अच्छा लगे तो शेयर, सब्सक्राइब और लाइक करना ना भूलें। तो दोस्तों, नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस जी का आगमन अंडमान में होने जा रहा है, इसलिए आप वीडियो में बने रहिए। तो 5वां चैप्टर ड्रीम्स एंड फॉल्स होप्स स्टार्ट करते हैं। When all the departmental posts were filled up, it could be seen that those persons who could not ordinarily have risen beyond the ranks of subordinates in their sphere of activities and would have to pass their lives in the low rungs of the ladder could not contain themselves when they found themselves holding gazetted ranks under the Japanese convicts who were all practically in the labor force getting convict rate of pay, barring those who were independent of government and were following their trade as agriculturists and artisans, were elated because in order to fill up the gap caused by the evacuation, many of them now received promotions and other appointments. Many people thought that the Asiatic Britain, the Japanese, had come as a godsend blessings. Happiness and joviality, short-lived though, prevailed everywhere, and everyone who had been shown certain amount of favors by the Japanese was donning a mask of exclusiveness. And from time to time came the encouraging words from the Japanese that they had come such a long way merely to liberate the Asiatics from the pernicious yoke of foreigners. By way of example, they would quote Philippines, Netherlands, East Indies, Burma and Malaya. They had given home rule to all these places and they would give the same to the Andamans. Thus they would achieve their ultimate object of establishing a long anticipated co-prosperity sphere of Southeast Asia. People of the islands, seeing all that victory had been magical, believed not only in the strength of the Japanese nation but also in their intention about establishing co-prosperity sphere and home rule. Everyone was believing as if he had become a home ruler overnight. In order that the residents might believe their tall talk, they beheaded Mr. A. G. Budd, secretary to the chief commissioner and supply officer, in public on a charge of espionage, and released the Indian who was arrested with him as co-accused. This was to demonstrate that they hated the Englishmen and loved the Indians. After a fortnight of occupation, the Japanese Navy left the shores of Port Blair, leaving behind a number of light cargo transports for local use. There was not much for them to be afraid of from the sea, either in the Pacific or in the Indian Ocean. The American Pacific Fleet was treacherously crippled off Hawaii, and the English and the Dutch warships were engaged elsewhere. An attack from the sea, therefore, was not considered likely. The British had, towards the close of 1941, converted portion of paddy fields, much to the chagrin of the owner cultivators, into a makeshift airstrip. Now, the Japanese air personnel visited and surveyed these fields and decided to complete the task begun by British. When the work on this aerodrome was started by the Japanese, all the convicts who were at large were rounded up, and all men on whom the Japanese could lay their hands, even apart from the convicts class, were impressed for work on this airstrip. Agriculturists were hampered in their work, and so were others who followed other professions. People in general had to work on the aerodrome in the same way as on Gurma Siam railroads, and they began to feel the relish of the co-prosperity sphere. The sufferings which continued for the rest of the 3.5 years of the Japanese occupation began. तो दोस्तों, ये तोप जो आरंग कारनिकोबार में स्थित है, आप स्क्रीन में देख सकते हैं। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। Those who were a little slack at work were given a severe beating. Incidental injuries and diseases among the workers were treated with contempt. Food, which was all rationed by this time, caused much suffering among the manual labor. People fell ill and died, as medicines of all kinds were reserved for the fighting force. Hard work, diseases, maltreatment, and malnourishment, which was an attribute of penal settlement before, became the lot of everyone now. And they were not now convicts to all intents and purposes. In about 3 months, the airway was serviceable and planes started coming in. A regular service was established between Burma and Singapore. Simultaneously, an aerodrome was constructed at Car Nicobar in the Nicobar groups of islands. This aerodrome, with some alternation, is still in use. तो आप ये स्क्रीन में कार निकोबार स्थित जापानीज वेल को देख सकते हैं। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। About this time came Iguchi, a naval officer of the rank of captain, and took over the charge of the civil administration as governor. He took over the charge after a formal dinner in which all the newly appointed heads of the administration were invited. With him came a senior intelligence officer, Kakamoto, with all his staff. Although he dressed as a civilian, his entire staff was uniformed. One of the Ojama dressing as a warrant officer of the Navy took about a dozen workmen from the convict class of people and went from village to village and into the adjoining jungles. ostensibly to look for mines of coal and other mineral deposits of value, but actually to gain first-hand knowledge of the country, its contours, and the people. As a ruse, the party armed itself with all sorts of excavation materials. At night, they would choose a village hut for their camp. Sometimes they spent several days in a village. Now, this warrant officer who was accompanying this gang was reported to be roaming about all over a village at night, and only for a short time during the day he would visit his men at the fake work of boring and excavation. He was seen sitting with his men when they were not actually at work, or at night talking with them for hours together, but actually he was preparing a who's who of the island and collecting all sorts of information valuable to the Japanese from the war point of view. He was very liberal with liquor and cigarettes, not only to his men but to the villagers also, some of whom came to him merely out of curiosity and others by invitation. Those who cultivated him to the point of friendship brought him cooked flesh for other Indian dishes and ate with him to the accompaniment of glasses of liquor. They blabbered out all what he wanted to learn. Jealously, the workmen on the quiet supplied all sort of information incriminating their own brethren, the Indians. Narayan Rao was given by the Japanese a confiscated car for his official use at a time when, except Japanese officers, no one else possessed a motor vehicle, no, not even a bicycle. In this car, he was going about freely, thinking himself to be the favorite of the Japanese. The entire intelligence people in the force were now watching his movements keenly, as it became evident later on. His touring at night especially came under severe suspicion. Once he fell foul with the warrant officer, who was also on his errand and exhibited his superiority, much to the warrant officer's silent annoyance. The consequences were not happy for Narayan Rao and his associate, as would be evident from what follows. तो दोस्तों, पांचवें चैप्टर ड्रीम्स एंड फॉल्स होप्स का अंत यहीं होता है. यह बुक अंडमान आइलैंड अंडर जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन 1942 to 1945 इज अवेलेबल इन अमेजन किंडल सेलेक्ट. तो यह बुक आप वहां से खरीद सकते हैं, जो आपको डिजिटल रूप में प्राप्त होगा. तो देखिए, नेक्स्ट वीडियो में बने रहिए, क्योंकि नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस जी का आगमन अंडमान में होने जा रहा है. तो दोस्तों, वीडियो में बने रहने के लिए शुक्रिया. डू फॉलो मी फॉर द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर. थैंक यू.